Item Number: SCP-5116. Object Class: Safe. Special Containment Procedures: SCP-5116 instances are to be contained in a warehouse in Site-49. Individual desks and chairs are to be arranged in a 5x5 grid pattern, with SCP-5116 placed upon them. Personnel are not permitted to make contact with either SCP-5116 or SCP-5116-A instances within the period between 12 to 6 AM local time. Living individuals corresponding to SCP-5116-A instances are to be monitored at all times for aberrant behavior and signifiers of demonic possession, to be immediately exorcised and contained upon the manifestation of such behavior. Houses affected by SCP-5116-B are to be purchased and maintained under the guise of renovation. Abernathy heat sinks are to be installed in affected basements. In the event that entities escape SCP-5116-B, the nearest site is to immediately deploy MTF-Aleph, Gideon's Trumpet, a regiment of field-trained exorcists. Description: SCP-5116 is a collection of 24 vintage Atari 2600 video game consoles and CRT television sets, running the 1978 game Space Invaders. SCP-5116 are unable to be powered down, and possess hexagrams and other occult symbols etched onto the interior of the console's casing for unknown reasons. Personnel are unable to play SCP-5116, with instances displaying the words "Please insert 1 coin" to begin, despite no method of inserting coins into SCP-5116 existing. Personnel who attempt to interact with either SCP-5116 or SCP-5116-A after midnight are attacked by a legion of Type Yon Tartarian entities. Footnote 1. Lacking sapience, agency, or corporeality, often bound to objects as guardians, which demanifest upon the subject leaving the immediate vicinity. Every midnight, 25 humanoid entities designated SCP-5116-A manifest at the controls of the SCP-5116 instances. These instances resemble the semi-finalists in the 1980 Atari Space Invaders Championship. SCP-5116-A are almost entirely incorporeal, but can manipulate the inputs of SCP-5116. Entities appear completely unaware of their surroundings, and do not respond to attempted communication. If an SCP-5116-A instance reaches a fail state on its SCP-5116 instance, the SCP-5116 instance will demanifest, to reappear the following night. SCP-5116 noticeably differs from the non-anomalous instances of Space Invaders, in terms of gameplay and art style. Hostile sprites have additional features, which appear to be accessory horns or talons. Rather than orderly descending in rows from the top of the screen, the sprite's movement is random, descending the display in differing speeds and patterns. The protective bunkers are also absent, leaving nothing between the entities and player character, whose sprite is replaced by 2 perpendicular lines of differing length. There are no levels or noticeable escalation in difficulty, though as enemy sprites constantly spawn, lapses in concentration from SCP-5116-A quickly lead to fail states. SCP-5116-B is an extradimensional shaft of unknown depth, located underneath San Diego, California. SCP-5116-B is only accessible through its entrances, the largest being within the basement of Dan Wolf Dunn, the former CEO of Arcadia, with smaller shafts being found within the residence of employees, also within San Diego. Footnote 2. Many of these residencies have been vacant for several years, with Dunn's house in particular having not been in use since his death in SCP-5116-B constantly produces large amounts of heat, and a bright light can be seen at the bottom of the shaft. Situated approximately 100 meters deep within the shaft, there is a small platform constructed of plywood and 2x4 lumber. On the platform is a collection of objects, some of which possess anomalous properties: an aspersorium and aspergillum. Footnote 3. Container of holy water and associated sprinkler, which is consistently replenished every 10 minutes. A wooden rosary, possessing a St. Peter's cross. When clasped in an individual's hands, the cross can emit short beams of high-frequency radiation. a King James Bible, a 1979 issue of Playboy, a broken lawn chair, an SCP-5116-A instance, the exact identity of which is obscured by heat haze. At irregular intervals, several dozen Type Dalet Faustine-class Tartarian entities will begin ascending the shaft, dispelled by the resident SCP-5116-A instance using the holy water and rosary. Usage of automated exorcist is not recommended, as previous attempts have resulted in the rendering of several contracts between the Foundation and groups of interest anomalously null and void. Addendum 5116.1. On March 15, 2003, SCP-5116-A-23 broke the high score, continuing to play for a further 10 minutes. Following the next fail state, SCP-5116-A-23 briefly raised its arms in celebration, and bent over in pain, flickering in and out of existence before finally demanifesting. SCP-5116-23 briefly displayed unique text, before violently shaking and spontaneously combusting. Within SCP-5116-B, the resident SCP-5116-A froze in position and demanifested, with SCP-5116-A-23 appearing in its place. The following is the photo captured of SCP-5116-23's display. Thank you all for watching, and a special thanks to all my patrons. If you want to help support this channel, go ahead and visit my Patreon for early access to videos, skip recommendations, and other Patreon benefits.